Oops, just be sure. Okay, just doing some checks. Cool, we are live on YouTube. Great. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another great live session today with another experienced founders. We have Elliot and Dean, who actually decided to take away a major headache for those who are in web design or they create themes or are working on WordPress. All right, so they've done it by creating PressMeGPT. So Elliot and Dean, first of all, guys, thank you so much for taking out time to join today and address everyone in the community about what you guys are doing and why you decided to go ahead and create PressMe GPT and your introduction, background, and all of that stuff. So thank you so much, and we're very excited for today's session.
Thank you, Karen. Can everyone hear me? You can hear me okay?
We can hear you okay. It's all good.
Okay, great.
Looks very good. So,
Yeah, so
yep.
I appreciate you having me on. So before starting PressMeGPT, just to give you guys kind of a background, I built and ran a WordPress software company and marketing agency for about 12 or 13 years. And so over the course of the years, we built, thousands of websites for financial services and legal industries in particular. And so I have a lot of experience here with building websites. And let me just put everything on silent here. And we grew that to thousands of customers. And one of the things I was really most proud of with that is that our customer NPS score was 76. So if you know anything about NPS scores, 76 is really, really good. And that means that customers are really satisfied with our support and our product and the solution and everything else. And then, I got to kind of a certain point. I stayed on for a few years. Fortunately, we were able to grow and sell that business. So that business was acquired in 2022. And during that time, I stayed on for a few years to help with transition and make sure the team was good, make sure customers were taken care of, and that sort of thing. But at a certain point, I got kind of the itch to do something different and just kind of have a different path. And the week that I left, I had two friends approach me that asked me for WordPress websites, essentially, because they know that I've done it for 20 years or so. And I said, okay, sure, let's look at it. One of them was using Beaver Builder, and they just wanted a redesign. And I found it very frustrating that I couldn't use AI to build with Beaver Builder, and I had to learn a whole new platform. The previous company, we used Divi primarily, and then we used Elementor a little bit in there as well. And also, Gutenberg came out during this time and everything else. So there's all these new builders and all these new tools that are out there and all these additional plugins that are out there to help people build. But it was kind of a learning curve to kind of go into a new one. And then the second friend, they were using a different one, WP Bakery. But I convinced them to actually move over to a different platform. So we use Gutenberg for theirs. But again, I couldn't use, I tried using some of the AI builders out there like Lovable and Claude and different things. And it was a real hassle to try to do it that way, because those tools build what's called a single page application. They don't build SEO friendly, theme driven sort of websites. Where Google can scrape them easily and they can easily be found. They're all kind of single page applications that just load the content based on it. So you can certainly modify them to be more SEO friendly, but it was really challenging. I remember the first time I tried, I used 3/4 of my AI credits that month, just trying to get a sitemap to work. Just to make it so that Google Search Console could actually pull in the content. So anyway, that's a little background about me. Before that, I worked for a software startup. I did integrations for pretty well-known companies like Hungry Howie's, Rite Aid, Family Dollar. That was a voice over IP company. That company was acquired. I was an employee there, right after that, or right before that. And then before that, I worked with, IT. I worked in IT, building websites for legal, and for local businesses. So a lot of local businesses, mortgage companies, things like that. And then before that, did the same kind of thing, web apps for the shipping and logistics industry. So UPS, DHL. And then I have a little bit of e-commerce experience as well. Probably the two most notable companies that I built e-commerce sites for, which were actually just like ran for about 10 years, was YMCA, which is a big exercise, fitness company, and then Universal Studios. So I actually built a site there where their employees would buy their uniforms. So it's like an internal tool for Universal Studios employees around the world. So those are kind of some of my notable things. Any questions on that, Karen, or you want me to keep going with?
No, great. That's a good background. I think you're coming from hard work, which is why you decided to make it easy for other people who are trying to build a web design or web app. I think that kind of proves the point about creating PressMeGPT and making it easier, right? I mean, of course, making a theme and everything else, it's not an easy job. That's why WordPress web developers, they charge bomb, do everything, because it's not a task which you might take for granted. You have to be you know very versed with that. But yeah, I think a good background, amazing work. Good to know. So yeah, I think let's go with PressMeGPT. Very much interested to see how the platform is.
Yeah.
Excited to see it working and creating a theme out of it. And how can, let's say, agencies and the freelancers can ease up their work and their clients' work and make better themes.
Yeah, so let me before we go into the actual demo, I'll kind of tell you why I built it, because again, I told you a little bit of the story about actually
Yes,
trying to build the site for different people and having it having a learning curve. So what I found is that even with any drag and drop builder, everything still took hours, right? So and that's pretty consistent with the people, the web developers that I talk to. Even if they have Elementor, even if they have Gutenberg right built in now, it still takes hours for them to actually put together a site, unless they're coming off of like a really clean template that they've used before and they're reusing. That's sort of the only shortcut that I found. The other thing that was kind of frustrating when I was looking at, okay, where do I, which builder do I use? Do I go back to Divi? We have Divi 4, we have Divi 5 coming out. Elementor and a lot of these charge per site. So per live site, you have to pay a recurring subscription for. That was kind of frustrating. I get it if if you have so many sites, it's not as big of a deal. But if you one or two sites, it's kind of a big deal, to use your subscription on that. I also tried a couple themes, both from WordPress and also like Theme Forest, Template Monster. And what I found with those is that the themes never looked like the demo, right? So you install the theme, you think it's going to look like, never looks the same, right? So it required a ton of customization, and that was frustrating as well, with some of these things that said that they were kind of like turnkey. And then, the other thing, that one of our biggest challenges that we had running the agency was that we had a lot of plugin bloat. So as you know, if you have clients, they want to install every single plugin possible. And then when you go to upgrade something, there's incompatibilities, maybe the design is broken, something like that, happens, right? And then it also can create security issues. If they install this random plugin that hasn't been supported for 2 years, right, that's a security hole. So that was one of our biggest challenges when we're maintaining thousands of sites for financial services and legal. They want their site to work and they want it secure, right? Because they're big targets for fraud and different things like that. So that was one of the things I was trying to like figure out. Like I tried a bunch of the plugins that are out there for like AI, for building, and none of them really worked the way I wanted them to, and they just didn't flow very well. And then the other thing that I kind of wanted to make sure that this did was that it was agnostic with the different themes, because again, your agency may prefer a certain type, or you may build on Elementor, right? But you might have a client that really prefers WP Bakery, or they prefer Divi, or they prefer whatever, right? They want to go with what they're familiar with. So I didn't want this to be like locked into like one builder or one thing. I wanted you to be able to host it wherever you want. Some people want to host on a shared host. Some people want to host on, DigitalOcean. Some people want to host, wherever. So that was one big thing as well. So I don't know if that helps. Just that's sort of the direction of kind of my checklist of things that I wanted to make sure that this did. Oh, you're on mute there.
And I think that's great. I think that's the right pain points you hit, because I think on the themes part, you're actually correct. When you see themes on all of these sites, Envato and all of them, they look very beautiful. The moment you hit install on your thing, and then everything breaks up, right? You then have to cook everything up and then make a site, which is the real work. People don't get it. It's like, it's not just import every theme and it all works out. So, and the builder thing is very much real. Everyone has their own preference. So, yeah, I think you making it agnostic to all of that will help others not being locked in just to in one thing. And another good thing is the vendor lock-in, right? The no vendor lock-in thing which you have, which you decided to get on, which other people just they lock everyone in, and then you cannot move, right? So that's the flexibility which PressMeGPT gives. So I agree on every point, and I faced it myself. It's a personal thing to me as well, so I can relate to what you're saying and the pain points you're targeting.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So I guess let's go ahead and do a quick demo. Is that right time for that?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
we can go ahead then. Right.
Let me share my screen real quick.
Sure.
I'm going to be looking up because I have a screen right here. So can you see that?
Yep, you can see it.
Okay. So just for sake of time, we'll go through this really quick, and I'll show you kind of the two main paths into PressMeGPT right now. So the first one is creating a new theme from scratch. So this is where you design as you would with like Lovable or Bolt 44 or Base 44, Bolt.new, VODev, those kinds of things. Very similar workflow. We'll call it rental car. Okay, so simple prompt. I'm not going to go too crazy with it. Here you can make the themes private if you have a paid account or a lifetime deal. This carries us through to the lifetime deal. Also, right now we offer a couple different options for credits or for the LLMs. We have plans to look at future ones. Right now, the prices are all over the place. As you know, AI is evolving rapidly, but we're keeping our eye on what works best, and we'll probably add some other things in there at some point, some other options. So I'll click generate, and we'll let this thing go for a minute. So this takes a couple of minutes. What we have put in here is basically it generates 3 different theme homepages initially for you to pick from. So that way, sometimes you like a certain style over another style, you have to go back and generate. We just generate 3 right up front for you. We are adding a credit saving option where we will allow anyone that has that particular feature to generate like a single theme, but maybe give it a little bit more description. So if they want like a bento style theme, or they want like a full page or a full width header or something like that, you can select that. So that is in the works, but that we don't have that quite yet. So while that's generating, I'm going to go ahead and switch over and show you the other workflow just for sake of time here, and we'll switch back over to that in a minute. So the second type of workflow, and actually probably one of our most popular features that we're actively developing right now, is our copying from a website or generating basically a WordPress theme from another type of website. So this works with we've tested it with like Wix, we've tested it with Squarespace, we've tested it with like Base 44, Claude, Gemini, Bolt.new, all the big ones out there for building websites. Because what we're finding is a lot of people are starting there and then trying to figure out how to get it over to WordPress because they realize that, it's not SEO friendly, or hey, I want to add pages, or I want my client to add pages, but I don't want to give them access to my my Claude account, right, to make changes or whatever. So that's what we're finding. So this is a really popular feature. So we'll go ahead and grab this. Let's see. Let's do allergy site. So here's a site that was built with Lovable. This one in particular is Lovable. So I'll copy the URL. And I'll paste it in here, but it works the same for a lot of the different sites that a lot of the different builders, AI builders that are out there. So we will copy it and we'll certify that we can do that, and we will let this generate. No other things. We'll make it private. Make sure that goes. Okay. So now it's scraping the website content. It's going to actually copy the theme over. Let's go back and check on this. Okay. So this one returned. And you can see we have 3 different themes here. We have theme 1, theme 2, theme 3. Okay. So from this, we can, you can kind of scroll through. You can pick which one you want, whatever you think is best, right? So that's theme 2. This is theme 1. And there you go. And theme 3. So one of the issues that I ran into when I was testing the different AI builders that are out there for WordPress particularly is that they would let you generate a site with AI, but you couldn't make changes to it. Like it was like whatever it generated, you got, and that was your choice. You had one choice, and you couldn't make changes to it. That was really frustrating because I wasn't able to. Okay, this design kind of looks okay, but AI never gets it 100% right the first time you do it. So you want to have iterations to it. So let's go ahead and select this theme. And now it brings you to kind of a familiar sort of chat window here where you can make changes. So, we can make a simple change here. Let's think of one here. Let's change explore fleet to browse cars. Okay. So we'll let that change be made. So you can make simple changes here. You can bullet them out if you want. You can make a larger change. So we'll let that go and we'll check on this one. Okay. So you can see this is the copy, right? So this is the site that we copied from here. This is what it copied over, which is pretty darn close to this. So you can see it doesn't have all the options. This is actually a dynamic website, but it copied the homepage, essentially. Yes. Yeah. So from here,
getting there.
Yeah. So it gets you definitely a starting point from wherever you were initially. So one feature that we released just a couple of weeks ago is basically the ability to add multiple pages. So probably our most popular request right now is for the conversion to actually go and scrape every page from whatever site that you're converting from and moving it over. As you might imagine, this website has has well over 100 pages. You would burn through credits pretty quick if you didn't have some throttling on that or have some sort of prompt that says, hey, which pages do you actually want to copy? So that's what we're implementing right now. Right now we can actually create additional pages right here, and I'll show you that in just a minute. You can also create posts as well. So you can create blog posts in here. And so when you export from PressMeGPT and you're going to import into WordPress, it'll actually pull in the blog post or the pages as well, which is pretty handy. Yeah. And I'll show you that in just a minute. Let's check on the other one here. Okay, so there you go. So this is back now. It says browse cars. Simple change, but you get the idea. That's kind of how the system works.
Right. So you have to prompt it out everything, and it will do the job exactly the way.
Yeah. Just make it just makes the changes based on prompts, which is pretty straightforward.
Yep.
So now let's go ahead and add a new page. Let's do like an about us page.
So when we import it, like when you have start from a website, it will only import the main homepage. Then you have to go ahead and create your pages separately inside it, correct?
Yeah, when you're copying from a different site, that's what it does right now. What we're building and the next feature that we're releasing, probably within the next few weeks, it's going to actually prompt you that says, hey, this site has all of these pages. Do you want to copy them? Yes or no, right? Check boxes.
Right.
And how do you want to categorize them? Are they a page or are they a post? So we can actually categorize the content type. So that way it gives a little bit of flexibility for everyone without burning through credits. That's one of the things we were worried about is like somebody just says copy everything and then literally they have no credits left to finish the site, right? Because that could very easily happen with some of the prompts that I've seen come in. So
Yes.
We'll go ahead and just create a simple about page. I didn't really give it any information. I just said create an about page. So we'll see what it actually spits out. You can prompt it. You can add more information, but it's generating right now.
Correct.
So let's see.
In the meanwhile, we have a question from Carlito.
Yeah.
Once a website is copied, is it compatible with Divi and can it be edited in Divi?
Divi is very near and dear to my heart. That's probably we were avid Divi 2, Divi 3, and Divi 4 users. Divi is on the top of the list for the next export style. So right now, Divi is not supported. We support Classic was the first one. Gutenberg was next, obviously, because that's kind of the future of WordPress. And then Elementor is by far the most popular, but Divi is next on the list. So Divi will be coming in the coming weeks, I would say. But Divi is definitely the next one that we're going to focus on. And it probably is the most requested one other than what we have currently.
Correct. And I think they would be the users who are the very first users of the WordPress, right? I mean, the initial days, and those who are the veterans. I think they would be requesting it. So
yeah,
makes sense.
All right, looks like we have a bug in here right now. It's not generating the page, but usually this pops up pretty quick. I see it wasn't in the prompt, so I'll look at that after this call. But I can go to a different theme here in a minute and show you what that looks like. But basically from here, you can just toggle between the pages here, or you can remove, if you create one, you don't like it, you can delete it, or you can make edits to it. So once I'm on the about page, I can say, do something, change this text or add more text or add this thing, right? And it'll do it. So that's how the page builder works essentially. It's just here.
And what if the people have to add images? So they can just prompt to add images, and the thing would add it, correct?
Say it again.
The images and videos. So if they have to embed videos, images, they can do it, right?
Yes. So I'll show you that. Let's go to one of these. Yeah. So this is this was generated for a different theme, right? So an about page, home page, and then this is kind of what was generated. So you're talking about images here. So on this, we could go. So we have a few different controls over here that you'll notice as well. We have a color palette, which does its best to migrate over into WordPress, into the standard WordPress controls. So for instance, if it's a classic theme, putting those in the right spot. If it's a Gutenberg theme, putting those in the full site editor and that sort of thing. We do our best to try to map those as best we can on the export. Also, you have some font choices here that you can make changes to. We integrate right away with Unsplash. So here we could do, let's do kitchen. All right, so let's pick this one. And you can obviously, I don't know if you saw there, you can upload your own as well. That's an option. But we'll use this one. So replace the image. All right. So we'll let that do its thing for a minute here. And then we'll do an export and we'll install on WordPress, and you'll kind of see what that looks like.
Got it.
So while that's going,
future of editing and working, which is just get prompt it out and get it done. The drag and drop thing will be in the future of the past, because
I think so. I think you're right. I mean, in just even a year's time, it's become a habit for me to go this route over drag and drop. And that's where I was very confused as to there wasn't really good solutions that fit my workflow and fit the tools that I used to build a site very quickly. But even what I did for the second friend that I mentioned, I was able to basically design a site, get 80% of the way there, and then because I'm using existing builders like Gutenberg and Elementor and those sorts of things, it's actually compatible with all of the additional plugins that are available for those particular tools. So, unlimited elements and, all of those things that are available. You can build 80% of it. And then if you want this really custom look, this different specific type of widget, like a timeline or something like that, go over to one of those tools, drag it over, it's on your homepage now, and you're good to go. So you really polish it off with that like 20%, but 80% of the way you can get with this tool or beyond. Some people have gotten beyond that.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So here, this came back. You can see kind of the image was replaced there, right? So it's as easy as that.
Right. Good. And I had one more question about the call to action button. So in the call to action buttons, I mean, you can just tell that, okay, add this link to, let's say, book now, add my calendar link. So if we just do that and just add our calendar link to the book now button, right?
Yeah, it varies per. So that's a good transition over to the exports, because what I've found with this and building this and testing it, even though I've used these tools, the exports are all very different. They're all structured very differently. So let me talk about that for a minute, because it is important. So classic theme, the classic theme is a really good one-to-one. If you get 100% of like, because it's PHP, it's HTML, it's CSS. That's how classic themes are formatted, right? That's how they're structured. So whatever you kind of design is a really good replication on classic. The downsides of classic is that you have, in order to edit it, you either have to manually edit it, just like you would with any classic theme. With HTML, you have to go into the theme editor, right? And manually modify the contents. Or you come back over to PressMeGPT, you can certainly make changes and re-export and then override it when you upload, right? So those are two really common ways of doing it. It is compatible with the customizer, so that might be a question. Classic themes all have the customizer on the sidebar, where you can go in and make, and that's what I was saying, some of those mapping controls with like the header and footer, some colors I think are there, like menu items, or not menu items. Menu items aren't there. That's on Gutenberg. But you have some controls with customizer. With classic. So classic, great one-to-one, but not great for ongoing edits or extending it down the road. Gutenberg, on the other hand, Gutenberg is great at Gutenberg is great at being extendable, right? So that's one of the benefits of Gutenberg, is that you export to Gutenberg. And you can use other builders, and you can pull, for instance, maybe you're missing a certain section on the homepage. You really like a certain kind of testimonial section that you have with a Gutenberg plugin or something like that, right? That's great, because you can, get 80% of the way there, go to Gutenberg, install the other plugin, drag over whatever, extension or block that you actually want on the Gutenberg site. So that's the benefit of Gutenberg. The downside of Gutenberg, another benefit of Gutenberg, it could be a benefit or a downside, is the menu. The menu is fully customizable. Whereas on Classic, it's more of like an HTML block for, editing the header and footer, like a global header and footer. So there's pros and cons with each of these. And then Elementor kind of has the best of both worlds. You have kind of the raw HTML that you can modify, or you can drag and drop elements over into the page. So additional elements, just like you would be able to with Gutenberg. What the downside of Elementor is that it does require our header and footer plugin. So you can download it here, and basically all that does, and I'll show it to you in a minute, all that does is set the like a global header and a global footer. So, and that's required for Elementor free. Yeah. So if you're using Elementor Pro, you don't need it. But if you're using Elementor free, we recommend our plugin to set the header and footer.
Correct. The global one, so they don't move, they just stay there, and then you keep editing.
Yeah, just so the menu looks the same on every page, right? It overrides the default WordPress. This is a WordPress site, and the default footer on WordPress sites. So that way the site looks nice, everything looks in place, and it's all using Elementor.
Great, makes sense.
Okay. So let me go ahead and let me export one of these and just kind of give you an idea what this looks like. So we'll start with Classic.
Cool. And in the meanwhile, Cargito had a follow-up question about the. Let me show this. Yeah, about the BYOK, which I think we even got frequently asked in
Mhm.
where we have kind of talked about PressMeGPT recently. So, what do you want to say about that?
Yeah, so bring your own key. We've explored that. We had actually before launch yesterday. We only had the question one other time, but apparently
Okay,
the lifetime deal community really likes bring your own key because that's been probably our most popular question since we launched. So we hear everyone. There are a couple things fundamentally that would have to change in order for us to offer that. It's on our radar. It isn't in the roadmap yet. But right now, our credit system, our credit accounting is pretty static. So it doesn't take into a ton of account. We have some limits set on context window and things like that, if you're familiar with AI prompts and
yeah,
AI credits. So there are some caps and things that we set in there, but there is we don't really take into account like you know um, 6,000 character or 6,000 words versus a context window of 10,000, right? We don't really take that into account. It's like one credit or half a credit. So we would have to actually change our accounting model for credits before we offer bring your own key. But it is on the radar. I understand people want it. If and when we roll it out, it will be in the definitely in the agency plan and probably in the I'll grandfather everyone in for the pro plan as well. So that's what I have to say about bring your own key. The other question I have with that is which models is everyone using? Because that creates complexity as well. So, for instance, Gemini, that's a different API than Claude, than Codex and other things. So we have to take that into account as well. Those would probably be the top three that I would look at. I know there's all sorts of other models out there, Kimi and all sorts of things, but we would probably stick with kind of the big ones to begin with, unless people have a specific request. If you do, just comment like what you guys want for bring your own key,
mm.
and we'll kind of see what rises to the top.
Correct, because there are certain models which can only do certain tasks, right? I mean, you cannot
Right.
have ChatGPT build out a WordPress theme or write certain type of content. So I think the purpose for using Gemini was because Gemini can go a lot deeper in doing these tasks. For example, building a WP theme, designing it, the colors, and all of that thing is pretty much good over there. That's why the team chose uh, Gemini for these operations.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly, like if you have to do BYOK, whoever asking for BYOK, you have to understand that whatever is compatible, whatever is the best possible kind of output generating model, that would be the one you should be bringing the key about, not anything. Otherwise, you wouldn't get the output you would want, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing to consider as well.
Yeah, exactly. The testing is a whole other thing as well, because what works in Codex may not work well on Gemini,
Correct.
or so there's all sorts of different edge cases with that. So we would probably have to structure it to like one or two to begin with, for
Correct.
sure. Like Gemini is predictable. So like Gemini would be, that's what we're using now. That should work the same way. But some of the other models that are out there do function differently and do give different output.
Right.
So that's something to consider as well. But I hear everyone. I know everyone wants to bring your own key. We'll look at it. Can
Can
it
it
be
be React
converted into
converted
React?
into React or Vue?
What do you mean, like the theme, like the design?
Yeah, I think React is the language. Uh, they would want to convert that into React or Vue.
Yeah, not at this time. Not at this time. We're really focused on WordPress and the different builders there. I mean, our tooling is React, that we're using for actually generating the WordPress themes. But yeah, that's we don't have that yet.
Makes sense. Okay, great.
Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and install one of these themes just so everyone kind of see it in action. Standard upload here with what you'd normally see and do. That's the one I just exported, and we'll install.
Good.
And then check out the live preview. So there it is. You have a lot of the similar controls that would be familiar here with the customizer. Let's go ahead and activate. And then we have some options in here. So like I said, with Classic, the header and footer are kind of a static HTML here, and you can override it. You can change some settings here, some parameters. This is all built into the actual theme itself. But you can kind of see the theme here. It loads. A couple things might need to be fixed, like some CSS here to move these kind of left, center, and into the right. But for the most part, we got the essence of the theme with this. So that's one option that you have right there. Let's go ahead and download a different one. Let's go to like Elementor, and I'll show you how to use that header and footer plugin.
Sure.
Because in our surveys, a lot of people are using Elementor. I can tell you that.
Elementor is like, yeah, it's just one of the top ones, and I think
we
use Elementor back at home. So
it makes sense. It really does give you the best of both worlds of customizability but the free aspect. If you're having to pay for the unless you have the unlimited site plan, it can get kind of expensive as well. So that's why this works with free. It works with Elementor free, and I'll show you that in just a minute. Okay, so let's go ahead and go up here. Let's create a new page. Elementor.
In the meanwhile, Cargito had a question. Would Open Router work since it can be configured to match your model setup?
Yeah, not right now. That might be something we consider, but it's not necessarily the API key that's the difficult part, and that's what Open Router does. Open Router, it's one API for many different models. The tricky part is what the model's output, right? So somebody could use some random model. Maybe they're using the wrong model, right? And they generate awful results. They'll be mad at us because the tool doesn't work, but it's not the tool, it's the model, right? So that's the tricky part. We're going to have to actually put some fencing and have some specific models that we support and other models that we don't support at all. So you can only use like A, B, or C, because that's all that we've tested for, if that makes sense. But Open Router is a consideration to go with to simplify the routing. But I think you have to have a paid Open Router account to use any of like the core models. So if you're using Gemini or Claude or OpenAI, you have to have a paid model. You can use some of their other ones. They have a couple that are free, but again, I don't know what those results would be like on this tool. Hopefully that answers your question.
Makes sense. Yeah.
All right, so oops, let's get rid of that. Got the wrong thing here. So I'm on a page, and you can get to templates anywhere in Elementor, but I'll just do it from here. Basically, I'm going to upload the Elementor templates here, so you can see we label them Elementor template. Okay, so there's kind of the templates that we created. Remember, we created the home page, we have an about page, we have a header, and we have a footer. Okay, so I'm just going to set this as like the home page. I can preview or I can insert. Let's just go ahead and insert. And there it is. So the theme's there. You can see the elements are all there. So that looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and publish that. And then what will happen if I go to the page, you'll see that we don't have a header or like a global footer, right? Because we haven't set that yet in, it would either have, if it was like a clean WordPress installation, you would have your default, this is a WordPress site header bar, and then you'd have like a default footer. But no one wants that with like a beautiful site and like an ugly header and footer, right? So let's go ahead and go back out of this and go to our, our header and footer plugin. So this is the prompt right here. As you're downloading an Elementor template, we've actually submitted this to to WordPress. We just heard back from them yesterday. So this will be available for free on WordPress.org at some point whenever they get the final approval. But it isn't right now. You can just download it direct. So let's go back over here. Whoops. Okay. So here's the header and footer plugin. We'll click on that. Basically, we just want to set a header and footer. So pretty straightforward. You can select one of your templates. So we'll set the header template here, set header, and then we'll set the footer template here, set footer. And now when we go back to this page and refresh, unless I have it disabled somewhere on this theme, we should get the header and footer. Oh, there's the footer right here. So we have the standard footer.
Nice.
Header I might have overridden somewhere, but or disabled, but that's basically what it does. It just sets a global header and footer.
Got it. Yeah, that's perfect.
And then
I think this is
and then you can edit here as well. So like if say like you forgot something, you can always go in and edit the actual header with Divi itself. So you can add whatever elements you want or do whatever you want to do over here on Divi.
Okay, that's good.
Oh, I'm sorry, on Elementor, not Divi. I said Divi.
Yep. I think
any questions? Yeah.
I think I have a good day now, but yeah, I think this is pretty simple, and I can just straightforward. Elementor is top ones out there, so yes, I think coming back to the point of the plugins, right? So anyone who has, let's say, complex plugin setup, right, where they had all the bloated plugins, they haven't removed it, everything is corrupted and stuff like that. So the moment they import a theme, so what would happen? Would the theme be distorted, or for example, on PressMeGPT, you would give them a notice or a caution that if you have any plugins which can distort the experience of importing a theme because those plugins are not compatible with PressMeGPT's output, how would we solve for that?
It's an interesting question. We haven't come across that yet. We haven't come across any incompatibilities because the theme doesn't. We don't have any dependencies. There's no dependencies with any of our themes other than what is there. So obviously if you're uploading you can't upload an Elementor template without Elementor installed on on your WordPress installation. So there hasn't been an issue with any kind of incompatibility yet, and we tried to be as raw as possible as far as the exports themselves for the themes. So with as little dependencies as possible.
Okay, that's all.
I will say that if you're uploading themes multiple times, and that's sort of what's happening here. I've used this test site a whole bunch. So if you have to override or upload a different, so say you forgot something and you go back to PressMeGPT and you make changes and then you re-upload. Basically, what I recommend doing is going over to, for instance, your homepage. It's not even here. It's draft front page. Going into here. And an easy way of doing it is just going to the code editor, the visual editor, the code editor, and just getting rid of all of this, just so that it resets when you re-upload a new version. But that's pretty easy. It's just deleting that or delete the page altogether. You can do that as well.
Correct.
Just so you don't have any garbage left over if you make any major changes.
Correct. Makes sense. Yep. So I think, and for those who are watching it, it's your job to kind of clean up your own site. So make sure you don't have any bloated plugins, anything which can make your site slower. So go ahead and clean your website. I think every few days, remove the plugins which have been corrupted, or WordPress says that it's not been maintained. So remove it or replace it with a new plugin, and make the site as light as possible, which is even good for you and good for the theme. That's good. Cool. Okay, we are getting some follow-up questions on the open router thing. That's interesting. And then we have some questions on Theme Checker. So I'm kind of pasting them on the screen for you.
Okay.
There you go. I'll just increase the time it stays there so you can read it.
No, it makes sense. The issue that we have is our credit accounting is different. So that's the issue. So what we would have to do before I'll explain Credit Saver and Theme Checker. But as far as Open Router, I'm very familiar with it. I've used it. But our credit accounting is different than, say, it doesn't match Gemini. Our credit accounting doesn't necessarily match Gemini 1-for-1. Same thing with Claude. It doesn't match Claude 1-for-1. Also, the credit, the context window is different, what's allowed and what isn't. Also, like certain ones like Gemini have like caching availability and things like that. So that all that stuff plays into plays into how we would have to structure it universally, so that we don't have we're not charging credits direct in one way and then charging open router or direct to like an LLM a different way. So that's sort of what one of the architectural things that would have to change before we got bring your own key. But I understand what you're saying. So as far as the theme checker and the the credit saver was one of the things I mentioned here on the generate, for instance, when you're going in to actually generate a theme. Is the ability to have a little bit more control over hey, I just want you to generate 2 themes instead of 3. Okay, that would save you a credit. Or I just want to do 1 theme because I know exactly what I want. I want it to have A, B, and C. What we found early on and what I experienced is a lot of the tools that are out there only generated 1 theme. And I didn't like the layout of what it gave me, right? So I wanted a few different options when I was building it. You're welcome. So I wanted a few different options for that, but I can understand some people, especially freelancers, web pros, even agencies, they know what they want a lot of times. So it just depends on who's using the tool. So those upper plans, we want to give them the ability to use their credits more wisely. Hey, I know what I want. Here's a full description of what I want. Build it. Just build 1, right? And now you've saved a couple of credits on that. So that's the credit saver function. And then the other aspect is on the export. So the theme checker. The most complex part of this is not necessarily building a really nice website. As you can see, AI can do that pretty well. It's actually converting that into WordPress, because AI doesn't know if a particular page is considered a WordPress page or a WordPress post. You know what I mean? So the different, mapping things to different content types and mapping things to different taxonomy and those kinds of things are really the complexities of that. And when you're converting from one to the other, you have an opportunity to miss CSS or have something off, malformatted or something like that. So the theme checker. The goal would be, number 1, to check the theme to make sure it passes WordPress's theme check. Basically, if you've ever uploaded a theme to WordPress for public domain, they have a theme check plugin that you can run, and they recommend you run. They require you to run it to make sure that your theme actually passes all the things, all the little nuances that they have. So that's one part of it. The other part is a fidelity checker, because like I was saying, there's nuances with different types of themes. Elementor has kind of the best of both worlds. Gutenberg has some benefits because it's very customizable, but sometimes it doesn't. There's not a one-to-one translation with your really creative design with a built-in Gutenberg block, right? So that mapping is really difficult. So what this theme checker would do is just verify as much as possible with that. It's like a secondary check that would run through AI or whatever. So that's what the theme checker is part structure, part design, to make sure that you get the best results when you go to install it. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yep, it does. Okay, great. Thanks for answering. Okay, further question on, if this is copying a theme, why would we need multiple themes? Shouldn't it just copy the theme?
It's just copying the theme. Why would we need multiple themes? Shouldn't it just copy the theme?
It's about importing the website.
Importing the website. I'm not sure I'm following that. Can you rephrase that?
Yeah, I think it was about when you import a theme for a new project, you start from a website, you just paste it, you import the whole theme. So it's saying, why would we need multiple themes? I think it's talking about the 3 theme options which we give when we.
Oh yeah. On the copy, when you're using a site for inspiration, or you're using if you're using an existing site to copy over, it only shows 1 theme there. But it does use more credits because it's more intensive, if that makes sense. It's a much bigger context window on both the submission to AI and also the return from AI. So that's why those use more credits, but that does actually only give you one theme to pick from. And my example showed that when we went through this, this one, it only spit out one theme for this. When you're designing from scratch, that's when it shows you the 3 different themes. So hopefully that makes sense.
Got it. Does Theme Checker uses credits?
If it uses AI, yes. So again, that might be a two part thing. If it doesn't need to use AI, probably not. But if it does need to use AI, for instance, for the fidelity checker, so those may or may not be 2 different things, like an option. You can do theme checker for structure, or you can do fidelity checker. They may be one and the same, just depending. But if it goes through AI, it will have to use credits because it uses credits, right? So if we have to run it through
it does.
Gemini for that. One additional thing I wanted to mention here that's actually really cool and helpful if you've migrated, I didn't mention, I forgot to, is on the export. We do have this option for a media conversion as well. So media migration, essentially. So what this does is currently any images that you get from Unsplash or whatever, they basically directly link to their CDN. So, for instance, say you have a nice image you find on Unsplash, it'll show up on the site, but it's actually pointing to their CDN. Same thing with migrations, right? So, like when you're copying a site from, let's say, let's just say base 44, you copy a site from base 44 or Wix. Wix is a better example. You have a client that wants to migrate their site from Wix to WordPress. Okay, they have 10 photos on their website. Right now, the way the system works, when you export and when you try to copy something over, in order for those images to show up, they're still going to be pointing to Wix. They're going to be pointing to Wix's CDN. So when you check off this option, these 2 options here, the media will actually download. So it'll go and try to grab all of the images on there. And you can basically just upload the media to WordPress as you would in the WordPress backend. And all of the basically on the export, as it's going through the export, it changes all the local paths. That's what this is: export with media with local paths. It changes all the paths to local, so that way all you have to do is you install your theme, you upload the images, and now all of the images and all of the media essentially is local to that website. So, because I've seen that happen where people have migrated sites before manually and forget about the images because the images are working. They turn off their Wix site, and now none of the images work, and they don't have access to them, right? Yeah. So on a migration, this is a really handy feature. You don't have to do it every time. I would just say on the last export that you do, use this, grab the credit. It uses a little bit of credits because it has to go through and scrape everything, grab different images, and then it downloads them in an export for you. But the only setting you have to change on your WordPress site, it's literally one checkbox, and we tell you about it. But in settings and media, you just want to make sure that you uncheck this box right here, okay? Because this is where your images show up as 2026, like in the path, right? 2026, 05, whatever the date is, right? So what this does is this just makes it where it just, it goes to your image path and then whatever the images are. That way, because the only way that wouldn't work is if you downloaded and uploaded the same day, everything would work fine. But like, you can't guarantee that, right? Because it has to know what path to write for the images. So basically, just uncheck this box, and we warn you about it on the export. Media settings help right here. We show you how to do that. That's all you need to do. Upload everything, and everything's local. So that's a pretty handy feature on like a migration.
That makes sense. And currently, they can migrate from. I think we have certain platforms. We have Wix, Gabebo, Base 44. And a few more options.
Squarespace, yeah, Squarespace. Depending on what you're doing, some people are migrating client sites to WordPress. Because that came up quite a bit when we were doing websites at the agency. People coming from Wix or coming from Squarespace or Framer or Webflow and things like that. But they wanted independence of that and wanted WordPress. So,
great. Yeah, I think that's a good. I had one more question about the images, and the thing was, for example, if you're importing, or if you're kind of AI is doing all of the stuff with the images now, the website is ready, and when we upload it on WordPress, import it, is it bringing the images like with the whole non-compressed images, or is it like once you bring it to the WordPress, it will be compressed along with the plugin which they've installed? Because many people have that thing that if AI is generating those images, but how compressed are they? Are they heavy images? Or will they take more space? So do we have to you know, compress them automatically or manually, or they would happen automatically once they import it? What do you think about
It
that?
it grabs the images however they are, and so if they're on a live site and they're compressed, it'll grab them. If they're on a live site and they're not compressed, shame on whoever built it, but that they'll come over like that. It's just whatever, however they are. Usually with like Unsplash, like those images are fairly compressed for web because that's what they're used for.
Yeah,
And then most sites have not too big of an image, images on there as well. For most web developers, they know better to do that.
yep,
But you can always use like a tougher tool and compress them if you want. You'll see them in there. I mean, I don't have one handy, but it just comes in a separate zip file that says whatever the site is, images, and all the
correct.
the images and things are there.
Cool, cool. We have a new question from Ice Ditch. That's how I pronounce it. Ice Age. I think, can I clone a production website and then change it with your tool?
Clone a production website and then change it. I mean, yeah. So, I mean, certainly within reason. Like, I don't know how long if you were here for the beginning, but right now the clone works for the homepage and the styling. We are actively building the basically the intermediate step to basically bridge and have it ask for like, hey, do you want to copy all of these pages, right? And are they pages or are they posts? So we have to build the bridge of like the pages themselves that it's copying, and then bridging them over to WordPress and the content types that WordPress offers. So that's what we're building right now for like a full site copy or migration.
Okay, makes sense. Cool. Carlito's question on how many credits do all these different processes cost? Seems like copying, creating one then theme could use a lot, but maybe I'm wrong. Can you give me a rough idea on how many credits are used, please?
Our pricing page has the credit usage. If you just go below the pricing and you look towards the
Yeah.
bottom there, it has like the whole breakdown of it. But essentially, generating takes 3 credits right now because we have 3 different themes that we offer. It's 1 credit per theme. That's about right for the context window. It's an average, right, for what is requested, and that is for like the home page. Additional pages are a half a credit right now, but we're gonna again move to a context window structure. So that way, somebody creating a 10,000 word blog post on there should be charged more credits than somebody creating an about page, right? So that's gonna that's one of the things that'll shift as we move into the bring your own key world, is the context window a little bit. But we try to be very transparent about our pricing or about our credit usage. And then copying takes 3 credits because it is more intensive to go to a site, scrape it, run it through AI. The context window is larger both on the submission and the logic and the return for that. So that does just require more credits. You get one theme out of that. And then the inspiration takes 2 credits because basically what you're doing, you're looking at the structure, but you're not taking all of the design elements from that. So, but that's all listed. It's all listed when you go to generate. It tells you how many credits are going to be used, and it's also on the pricing page in a little box at the bottom. So
Cool.
you can kind of keep up with that. We try to be very. One thing I didn't like about some of the tools that are out there is that it's very
They're
unpredictable.
opaque
Like I don't know.
about.
I don't know how much. Yeah, I type a
Correct.
prompt and all of a sudden I'm missing credits. And I type another one and I'm not missing any. Barely. Right. So we try to be very transparent about it, and we'll continue to do
Yep.
that. Just so everyone's predictable. Even if that has to change, right? Like, so you guys won't bring your own key, but again, the context window thing is going to have to change in order to do that. So we'll be transparent with it all and try to be fair with it as well. But the AI controls do cost something. So that's where we have to just kind of be careful and make sure that no one's abusing the system and that sort of thing.
Makes sense. All right. So, yep. And his name is Valentine. It will work with Mosaic Builder.
I'm not familiar with Mosaic. I don't know if that's built on a particular ecosystem like Elementor or Gutenberg or something, but I'm not familiar with Mosaic. So as of right now, not to my knowledge, but unless that's an add-on for one of the builders that we support.
Okay. It's the site is called mosaicbuilder.com. That's what it's called. Pretty interesting. I think um, I think it's a new kid in the town.
Okay.
Okay, it's good. Yeah, I think if there's like any new builder which we are not aware of, you can just go in the roadmap and let the team know
Yeah.
that okay, this is something which has come up, and they might consider it. They will look at it, of course, first of all, the compatibility and all of the things, because then they have to make it official. That so we used to add Mosaic Builder in the comments or email the team about it. I think they would definitely check it out. Um, One question from Carito was, is you have 3K credits, pro tier comes with 70. Will that actually do much? I think I would say this, right. If it's a WordPress theme, which means you're going to literally have 7 full projects, I would consider themes as projects for sure.
Yeah.
If you would do that, right? So you would have to be, if you have to think like you're actually working with a real WordPress theme. If you have to go and buy an actual WordPress theme and kind of do a lot of work with it, it will definitely take you a lot of time, right? It includes time, it includes costs. Over here, you're getting the option of getting it all done like pretty quickly, so you're actually saving a lot of time as well. So I think you have to be considerate of the if the number of projects you're doing, and if you have to make it that way. That would be my answer. Elliot, what do you think?
Yeah, so the average, after hundreds of users, we've had hundreds of users on the system, both paid and free. The average user can get a pretty nice, call it 5-page-ish theme for about 10 credits. It's plus or minus. So some get it done in 8, some get it done in 12, right? And then it also depends on how many additional pages you add. It depends on how many changes you do, how clear your changes are, right? Like how articulate you are with your chat, prompt. So there's all sorts of variables to that, but on average, call it like 10 credits per theme is pretty good. 3 to get you started. Every change that you make is kind of like 1 to a half a credit, and that includes like additional pages and things like that. So that gets you pretty far. So with 70 credits, you have about seven themes or so a month, right? And again, that might be 6, it might be 6.5 or something like that. But on our website, we also have a one-time purchase plan as well. So that way you can just like, if you say you're like nearing the end of a project and you just need like 20 more credits, right? You could just upgrade once, no recurring subscription, but you get a bunch of credits and then you can finish your project and wait until your credits refill the next month. So we tried to make that, keep that in mind as well with it. My credit, this is one of my test accounts, so I don't have to keep re-upping credit, so I front loaded it quite a bit. I think I had like 5,000 to start with, but yeah, the credits, like I said, on the pricing page, and as you do actions, it tells you how many credits are going to be used, so that way you can kind of control your destiny. And then on top of that, with the credit saver that's coming out, that'll help as well. So that way you're like, I know what I want, just generate it. I don't use the 3 credits, use the 1 credit. And that will help as well.
All right. One more question from Yakutin. Thanks for the answer. Can we create advanced animated pages with your tool?
Not currently, and there's a couple reasons for that. Like Elementor actually strips animations as you import, especially Elementor free. So yes, like we actually had animate. So and you'll see on some of the themes there are some animations there, and we got some simple animations working. But that is one of our things on our roadmap, is actually having a little bit of like a control for some basic animations. Like a fade in, fade out, slide in. Some things like that. You can see the animations do kind of work there. but it depends on the builder that you're exporting to, whether they support the animations that were created or not. So that's really the deciding factor, not necessarily our tool. But I would say advanced animations, probably not. I would probably, for now, do that on the WordPress side because of the builder restrictions, not because of our restriction to do it.
Got it. Okay.
Great question.
Yeah, I think there's good question. Yeah, I think we have done with the questions. So if you have more, please drop in. But I think it was a great session. Elliot, thank you so much. I think for till now to bring us through this, the whole steps, and letting us know about PressMeGPT and your background and why did you build it. And for the audience, hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, please drop in. We will be wrapping up very, very shortly. Yeah, I think we're looking good over here. I think we already have created this site, imported, and I think it's good to go. So we'll just wait for another 2 minutes for people to drop in any questions. And Elliot, by that time, do you have anything else to show us?
Yeah, no, I appreciate everyone joining and taking the interest. Like I said, to start with, I built this for me because I wanted it. This is something that I've gotten used to building with AI and all the things that are kind of possible now with it, and I just couldn't find a good solution for myself. That being said, I know everyone's workflow is kind of different, and everyone uses different tools and things like that. So if anyone has requests, I would love to hear them. So please do comment on wherever you found this on Facebook or on the actual deal page. I do look at every single one of those, and I do want to improve the tool. So I want to make it work I can't make it work for everyone's workflow right away, but I promise you that I'm paying attention to what people really want, with this and how it would work for their workflow, not just my workflow. But so far, it's been really helpful for me. I built a couple other sites since then with it, and it really has saved me a ton of time. Also, I can tell you that our users, both our paid and free users, they usually within 30 minutes to an hour, they get a full-blown site out of it. So they're on, exporting it and installing it somewhere. That's what our metrics say, and so that's pretty cool that, because again, working with a bunch of web designers and being one myself, I know, sometimes I was, building something for 2 days, that just wasn't working right, or drag and drop, or I had to find the right kind of block for it or whatever. I had a formatting issue, a CSS issue I couldn't track down or whatever. So it's really handy to have this to get sort of like to the, almost to the finish line, and then be able to still do modifications on the WordPress front as well. But definitely do comment, ask me any questions you have, or provide any feedback you have. Also, we have a free trial. It's like a free. It's 5 credits a month, so you can sign up today. You can test it out before you decide to buy. So that's an option as well. I encourage you all to do that. And there's ways in there to get some little, a couple extra credits here and there by, filling out a couple surveys and doing different things like that. So, but I do encourage everyone to try it out, and please do leave, whatever feedback you have. I'd love to hear it.
Perfect. Cool. Just going to add a feedback on Credit Saver. I think, he'll give it a go. He talks about the Credit Saver.
Yeah, it's one of those things where we're an early startup. We're trying to figure out our model and what makes sense for most folks. It's not to say we won't go down. We won't go down to a lower tier with it, but it's just one of those things. We have to decide where the features go right now for what we know. And like I said, we're a pretty reasonable person, but we'll see. We'll see where it lands. But I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. That's one thing with it as well.
Great. I think it was amazing session. Thanks everyone for joining in. Great questions from everyone. Pretty interesting questions. We got a lot of feedback, a lot of insights from your things. Got to know about a new builder which is there, Mosaic. Pretty sure. So Elliot, thanks so much. Dean, I know you're in the background, but thank you so much for joining in, tuning in, listening to everyone out there. The walkthrough was good. So, and go ahead and better leave Rocket Hub. And Elliot is there to answer any questions on the D page. Just email us or drop in on the official discussion. We look forward to see you all in the next session. Till then, goodbye. All right, Elliot, thank you so much, Dean. See you
Thanks,
guys. Thank you
everybody.
so much for doing it. Bye bye. Take
Bye.
care.